All right. Well, hello everybody. Hello goalies. Hello parents. Hello coaches. Hello everybody that's on the call. Welcome to how to get ready for tryouts, our webinar here. My name is Andrew Kent. I'm the COO of Mega Goaltending, and super excited that you guys have taken time to join us today. I know everyone's schedules are pretty busy and take your time out of it today. So hopefully you'll pick up some tips and maybe a plan of attack heading into the tryouts this year. My goal for your time here is you'll be able to set up your own kind of plan of attack heading into tryouts and set up yourself for success and feel a little bit more in control and empowered, allowing you to kind of really capitalize on the hard work and both physically and mentally that's been put in over the off season and everything. So I'm super excited to kind of share with what I have with you today. Both trials can kind of be stressful and difficult and difficult to navigate, and however there's some things that you can do to kind of minimize those stress and turn that energy into productive action, right? So what we're going to talk about is the steps and process really to get ready for tryouts and all of the action steps, right? So first thing we should do is usually set a goal, right? A lot of times people set goals, whether it's for tryouts or anything, and we don't want to just have any goal. We want your goal that you set should be attainable and then within your control. A lot of times people make the mistake of setting goals that are either unrealistic or they have no control over them or little control over them themselves. Like a goal like that would be make the top team, right? Making the top team sounds like a great goal, but it's not directly in your control. The coaches and evaluators ultimately have control over whether you make that top team or not, right? And also your competition and all that sort of stuff. So you don't really have direct control over that. So it's not an ideal goal for us, right? So what we want to do is we want to have a goal that you do have control and is realistic. So what does that look like? An example of one of those type of goals would be to perform at or near your peak performance, right? That is something that is completely you have control over. It's realistic to your abilities, right? Your peak performance. And you kind of have that realistic aspect to it, right? So now that you have a realistic goal, the goal is great. But really it's a process that we really need to kind of transition to. And that's what's going to be the impactful, most important part, right? The goal, great, but it's more about the process of things. So what we're going to go over there is kind of the process. Once you have your goal and your process, you're basically going to take your goal and I don't want to say throw it away, but you're going to forget about it, right? You put it somewhere in a drawer or whatever, but it's to go at the bottom of your bag, like all your jerseys go to die, right? It doesn't really matter. That goal doesn't matter anymore. It's about the process. So the first step in the process is preparation, right? And some of the action steps that you can control to prepare yourself, right? To perform at or near your peak, if that's our goal, right? And you guys might have different goals, but this is just kind of giving you guys hopefully just a little bit of a roadmap for you guys that you guys can follow along directly, or you can take it word for word, right? Or make it your own, right? But there's some steps in there, right? One would be practicing regularly. Pretty obvious, but the more you practice, the more confident you feel on the day of your tryout. You can practice your skills, get used to your environment, but cramming for something is rarely the answer. And that's why most of our program at Mega is focused on long-term development. Another thing you can do in preparation for tryouts is eat healthy diet, right? Foods that will give you energy that you need to perform your best, avoiding junk food, sugary drinks, focus on eating plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, etc., right? It's pretty common sense, but grabbing fast food or eating a large meal right before you get on the ice to go out to tryouts is not going to help you perform at your peak or your best, right? So doing those steps, eating healthy diet is definitely part of the preparation, right? Getting enough sleep. This happens so many times. I mean, especially, obviously I'm a parent and you guys are parents and kids and whatever. There's so many things that keep you guys up and you guys lose a lot of sleep for no reason, right? So part of it is sleep's going to help you with muscle recovery, mental clarity. Try to aim for 8 hours of sleep each night. Again, kind of cliche, but it really helps, right? It's no secret. You need to recover, try to avoid and cut way down on screen time, iPad, video games. Those things are built to like stimulate your mind, and they're not going to give you the rest and recovery that your mind needs, right? There is a saying that sleep is a weapon, right? Kind of aggressive saying, but it's true, right? If you can use your sleep to recover, it's going to help you perform towards your peak, right? And that is something that you have direct control over. All of these things, whether it's your diet, your sleep, you're getting some practice regularly, right? All of that stuff you have direct control over. And that's what we want to focus on. Those things we have direct control over, right? And the action items, right? Also visualizing success, right? If you're laying there in bed and you're kind of picturing yourself performing well at tryouts, you're feeling confident in your abilities. It's going to help you stay positive and focused on your goal, performing at or near your peak, right? If that's your goal. Things that often derail us and things that we usually put energy to, if it's video games or all that stuff, that's not going to help you, right? Or if it's, hey, I'm worried about politics or who I'm competing against or whatever, that's not going to help you out, right? So we need to stay positive and we need to visualize on action things that of us performing well, and that's going to help us have a better chance of reaching our goal, which is playing at our peak, right? Staying positive. Reminder, tryouts is just one step of the process. We've kind of all gone through it, or a lot of people have gone through it, and it's just one step in a long journey. Whether you make the team or not, if you stop all the shots or you don't, right? It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's how you react to it, right? So stay positive. You're not going to go through unscathed a whole tryout with no goals or any hiccups, right? So things happen, but try to stay positive, positive self-talk. A lot of times as an evaluator, you'll see goalies have something bad happen, whether they slip or they let in a goal or whatever. And then they start compounding off of that stuff and they start focusing on the last goal. And now they're not focusing on the next save. And it just kind of snowballs. And to be honest, there are times when your head's down and you're taking notes and you didn't even see the goal go in, but you saw how they're reacting right now and pouting, and it's not good, right? So all that sort of stuff, staying positive, stuff that is in your control that can help you prepare to perform at your peak, right? Other little things that you can do the day of the tryout. So a lot of that stuff is kind of days, weeks, months leading into it. But the day of the tryout, super simple, but arrive early, check your gear, make sure everything's good and working order. Your helmet screws are all ready. Your toe ties aren't broken. I mean, pretty simple stuff, but it goes a long way, right? Also, dress appropriately. If you're coming in like looking like a slob and flip flops and whatever, it doesn't show that you're really ready to perform and be at your peak, right? It also tells your body you're not taking it seriously, right? So make sure you're in tennis shoes or whatever's appropriate, but come in dressed appropriately and kind of put together a little bit. Obviously, you don't have to be in a suit and tie, but a little put together goes a long way. Another thing would be consistent warm-up routine. This is proven to help you prepare and get your body ready to perform at your best, right? And if it's consistent, it's going to get everything going. It's just going to help you prepare to step on the ice and really perform at your peak, right? Be polite and respectful to coaches and other athletes, right? All that stuff that I just said, pretty common sense, but it's a lot of little things, right? Regular practice, healthy diet, sleep, visualization, positive attitude, arriving early, checking gear, dress appropriately, consistent warm up, being polite and respectful, right? All that stuff If you're focusing on those things, then you'll be prepared yourself to achieve your goal, right? And those are the action items that you need to kind of switch your focus to perform at or near your peak. And that's where your energy and focus should be. Like I said, all too often we see goalies wrapped up and focused on things out of their control. We've already talked about it, but something drills that are getting evaluated. Who are your evaluators? The support or lack thereof your teammates or your tryout team are going to give you. Amount of shots or action you will see or you won't see based on the scrimmage you're on. Your competitors, your other competitors, things that are out of your control, politics, right? Looking up at the evaluators, those are none of that's going to help you perform well, right? And that's what we see a lot of people wasting their energy on, and spending energy on those things is just a waste. It takes away from what your actual goal is, and that's performing at your peak, right? So now that we kind of set that plan and to prepare to reach your goal, it should hopefully give you a little more sense of control heading into the tryout and empowered, right? Like, all right, I'm kind of ready. I'm ready to do this, right? Now, the next step is actually performing during your tryouts, right? So tryouts happen. You're stepping on the ice. You're about to start the tryout. We had a plan, a preparation plan, but now having a plan at this time to achieve like your goal of playing at or near your peak is also important, right? Like I said, you've already prepared, you're ready to go, but now things are hitting the road and we're really ready, right? So some of the things that you can do to help you have a plan is have extreme focus, but not just any focus, focusing on the task at hand. And just like before, focusing on what you have control over. So if you can focus on what you have control over and what you're actually doing and staying present, that's going to help you perform at your peak. And now I'm going to give you a little tip, mental trick. If you get nothing out of this and only listen to this part, it's helped. I don't know. A lot of goalies in a lot of ways become All-Americans, win national championships. I mean, played Olympic medal games and win Olympic medals, a lot of different things. If you just focus to just this, hopefully you guys get out of this. But this mental trick while you're in your performance is so valuable. So I want you guys to pay attention on this stuff, right? So what I want you to do is pick one thing, maybe two, definitely not three, right? Kind of like golf, you don't need a bunch of things going through your head. Pick one thing. Let's try to be one. If you need to, I'll allow it, but that's it. But these things directly lead to you playing at or near your peak. Examples of that would be watching the puck all the way in, right? That helps you perform really well. Getting on angle, that helps you perform well. Getting set quickly, that helps you perform well. Getting to the top of your crease, that helps you perform well. Now I just named 4 or 5 things, right? We had to pick one, maybe two. So let's just say, for the sake of this, we're going to pick tracking pucks all the way in. And I want you to take a piece of tape or have and watch the puck all the way in. It could be whatever the one thing that you kind of pick is. And then I want you to put that down on either your stick, your glove, your blocker, but somewhere that's visible, right? That you can see when you're on the ice. And then what I want you to do is whenever there's a whistle, it's a big save, a goal, anytime you catch yourself not focusing on the task at hand, all those are distractions. A goal against is a distraction. A big save is just as big a distraction. Evaluation of stands and you're looking at them, that's a distraction. There's so many things that take your energy and mental focus away from the task at hand. Anytime you catch yourself in those kind of situations, I want you to look down at that piece of tape and say to yourself, watch the puck all the way in, or whatever you have, right? And when you say that to yourself, I want you to also visualize yourself doing it. So right now, if I was to say, all right, maybe I got scored on, or maybe I made a big save. I'm going to look down at my blocker or my stick, wherever I have it, and I'm going to go watch the puck all the way in. And I'm just going to visualize myself doing that. And what that did is brought me back to the task at hand, brought me focused into the present. And that one task is actually something that helps me perform at my peak. If I'm watching the puck all the way in, I'm performing at my peak performance, right? Or whatever you guys decide is, right? So that's a little tip and a little trick that I want you to bring yourself back to that focus point, to that task at hand. And if you have that plan of attack when you're on the ice and you keep focused on that and keep yourself focused on the task at hand the whole game, you keep doing that, it's going to help you stay a lot more consistent and ultimately help you attain your goal playing at or near your peak, right? So if you focus on your plan and not the outcome of like, oh, I got to make the top team or whatever other unrealistic goal you might have, right, that you don't have control over. Once the dust settles, if you're focusing on your plan the whole time and the final buzzer goes off, you're going to be able to look back and reflect at and the chances are, if you do that, you'll have performed at or near your peak ability. And if you haven't and you're focused on the evaluators, are they watching me, or who's on my team, or anything else that's out of your control, you're probably not going to have that same success, and you probably not going to have the best shot of making that top team or whatever your other goals were that would have been unrealistic, right? So hopefully this is kind of giving you a little bit of path to kind of give you a little more focus and action items to help you perform right on your top team. So let's kind of review this, right? So we talked about setting a goal that's within your control, right? We talked about setting a goal that's realistic and within your ability. Focusing on the process. Once we have our goal, creating the process, but focusing on those action items on how you're going to achieve those goals rather than the outcomes, right? Focusing on the process rather than the outcome, you're going to have way better chance of achieving your goal, right? We went through the preparation, regular practice, eating healthy, getting sleep, visualization, staying positive, arriving early, checking your gear, dressing appropriately, having consistent warm-up routine, being polite and respectful. If we're focusing on all that sort of stuff, all the other things that have no bearing on how the tryouts are going to go are going to disappear. And now you're actually focused on what it's going to take to have a great tryout, right? And then once we step on the ice, we're ready to go. We're going to focus on the task at hand, right? We have that plan of your tape with staying focused on whatever that one, maybe two, but no more action items that help lead your success. And if we have those plans of preparation and performance when we're on the ice, I really like your chances of how you'll perform in your tryout, right? And hopefully attain your goal, which whether it is or isn't playing at your peak, like I said, you can copy this directly or not, but that's something that I know a lot of these things are kind of cliche, kind of obvious. Hopefully some of these have been new tools, but usually it's the obvious and somewhat simple things that are like keys to success in anything, right? It's like losing weight. It's not like there's no science, like it's not a secret. There's a proven process. It's pretty boring, but it's proven, right? Same thing with this. There's proven process. It's maybe not the most mind-blowing thing. They're very cliche on some things, but usually that's what doing those simple things are what separate successful people and unsuccessful people. So like there's a saying out there of what's easy to do is also easy to not do. It's easy to not do any of that stuff, but all of that stuff's also really easy to do. And if you do those simple, easy things, it compounds over time and it sets you apart, right? It's easy, not like, and this translates whether you're a goalie right now and you're trying out for a youth team, all the way up to when you're an adult. It's easy not to respond to an email, or it's easy not to do something, but it's also easy to do that. And that's what separates people, whether it's in hockey or in life, right? So hopefully you've kind of enjoyed some of this stuff. Hopefully some of the stuff that I kind of brought up here helps you have a different mind frame, or give you a little bit of a roadmap to your tryouts, and help you kind of come at them maybe a different way, and hopefully allows you to set up that plan of attack and action that you can kind of control yourself heading into tryouts, and hopefully transition your mindset away from the anxiety and stress and, oh, what about this and that, to kind of empower little confidence. So like, get that negative thoughts out of your head, and things that are no control, flush them, get rid of them. Politics, you have no control over it, so don't even worry about it. And then you're focused on the process. Hey, I'm going to get good sleep tonight. I'm going to focus on making sure that I get a good meal before bedtime, or whatever it is, right? So when you're lying in bed the night before tryouts, you're thinking about, man, I can't wait to get set quickly, or I can't wait to get out there to watch every puck, track them all the way in, or get set top of my crease, or whatever the kind of action items are. So that should be that your mindset going into a tryout, versus, oh, I don't know who's on my team. I wonder if I'm gonna get any shots, or I'm getting too many shots. They don't play any beat defense or back check, or who's the evaluator? They don't like me. Well, flush that stuff. Start focusing on the things you can control, and your action items and your plan. And I think you're gonna have a great tryout, and hopefully carry that into your season, your tournaments, and like I said, outside of hockey as well, right? So kind of to the point here, but thanks again for everybody for your time. I know some of you guys can ask some questions. I might go over some of that too in the chat. Feel free to ask any questions that you guys have. I'll start answering some of the ones that I've gotten through. And you can always unmute yourself, ask questions, but hopefully this little webinars help be a little insightful, and give you guys a little roadmap or plan that you can follow along, and help you feel a little bit more empowered and control. And hopefully you took some key points or positive things out of it. So we're going to hop into some questions that I have right off the bat. But like I said, if you guys have any, feel free to unmute yourself, or throw it in the chat. So is one of them, is Mega going to do any on ice tryout clinics this year? We are, for certain associations. We're not, if you're asking if we're doing like a pre-tryout camp, we're not doing one of those through us, but we will be doing them through some different associations, of like tryout tune-up stuff from associations. Let me pull up some of the other questions. How do I tell if my goalie is approaching burnout? One of the things, obviously, you guys know your kids, your goalies pretty well, hopefully, but if they're looking sluggish or anything like that, need a break, obviously give them one. You guys can kind of feel that out, just by being present and knowing the goalies themselves. But some of it might be, they might be getting frustrated or worn out with no direction or no feeling of improvement. A lot of times that'll happen where, hey, I'm not seeing any improvement, or maybe I am improving, but I don't know if I'm getting any improvement. I'm not getting feedback or positive feedback. I just don't really know, and kind of just beating my head against the wall, and it's not really fun. So kind of burned out from that sort of stuff. So those are some things that you can watch for. I don't know if that answers your question. I've got another one. I believe the answer is no, but are there any quick fixes to improper stances? Too wide, too much inside edges, should be over toes, everything they're not supposed to do, etc. Stance reviews, 100%. We have a stance review that I'll send out an email to everybody that is on this, that will be giving you one free stance review, if you will. And I kind of go over it, or maybe share my screen. And you guys, let's see. Yeah, here we go. Here's my questions, but I'll move this down. All right, so here's my iPad. Can you guys see this? Yes, no, I don't know. Are you guys seeing this? No. Anybody give me a thumbs up or a wave or a yes?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so what we have in TK, I think you're on here, so maybe I'll go through you. That's okay. But what we can do is we'll have the ability for you guys to send in a video of yourself where we can go over this stuff, right? So obviously I can kind of break down. TK's got a pretty good stance, but or we're drawing on whether it's your legs, your hand level, whatever we want. There's not a whole lot to change here. So pretty good starting stance here, TK, and then butterfly type, butterfly, whatever. But whether you're talking about balance, knees too far apart, all that sort of stuff, we can kind of go over it, right? So you got the body mechanics. Here's the dots of all your body parts, right? Kind of going over it. And we can kind of go over your unique setting, right? So if your knees are too wide, right, like I said, you can kind of go over, hey, you need to bring your knees in. And a lot of it is there's a big difference between feel and real. A lot of times what goalies feel is not real. They might not feel like their legs are really far apart or their balance is way off, but once you start showing them, it's hard to argue with a picture or visualization, right? So I think this is a good tool for anything stance review wise or anything. We do have packages that involve IQ sessions, game reviews, all sort of stuff. So, but everyone can get access to a free stance review. I don't know if that helps answer your question. I think it's Greg asked that one. Another one, drills to help my goalie get better at dropping into the butterfly. So yes, same sort of stuff. We have plenty of drills. Like I said, here's a medicine ball one. Pretty simple, just driving out, dropping down, but not having their stick present forces them to kind of get those knees tight and some other things, right? So we definitely have drills that can go over that. Plenty of other ones as well. I think that was Dean. Let's see. How to get coaches of players to help goalie warm-ups, right? Get help during games when they're focused on the majority of the players who are not the goalies. So that's a great question. Hurley, right? It looks like we have that happens a lot, right? So what we have, I'll kind of give you guys an example of this, is we have the ability to sorry, give me a second here, to send you guys, this is like what we did last year with one of our associations, is every Sunday we were able to send each level, let's just take squirts. So each Sunday we would send out, this is at the end of the season, but drills for them to do. So there's a mini webinar. Let's just take this one, rotation recoveries, right? So we give them PDF with some obviously words you can read it, but then there's a mini webinar, which we're not really going to go over the whole thing, but you guys get the gist, going over that specific topic, right? And in this, 2 minutes, pretty short. After we go through an ad, I guess. But what we're doing is we're going to be going over what you can see. So if you're not an expert, you can't hear it because I'm plugged into Zoom and screen sharing, but giving you key points to kind of look at. So if you are just somebody helping out, not everyone's a goalie expert, right? It's pretty understanding. Well, in 2 minutes, I'm going to give you a couple key points to look for. Here's some examples. Plus, I'm going to give you 2 drills to do. So here's 2 drills, 2 different drills for you to that are on those themes. Same thing, really simple rotation recovery drill. But you also now have something based off that little 2-minute webinar that you can use the knowledge there. So you have drills and a little bit of what to look for as well. And that's released every Sunday. That's part of our connected coaching program that we have for a lot of associations or individuals as well. So we have that capability. We also have the ability where you can take that in a step further. And if you want to take those drills and send them into us, and then we would review them, kind of like I just showed you the stance reviews. That's also an option, right? You can kind of see the drawing on there, and there's a voiceover, but you can't, like I said, can't hear it because it's plugged in my computer and I'm sharing everything, right? But that's an option that we have available for some people if you're interested. Any other questions? I'm trying to pull them up. Association costs. I mean, I'd be happy to go over it with you guys. It's always it's on per team basis or per individual basis, so it's definitely affordable on association level. And Tom, I'd love to maybe have you stay after or set up a time to meet to kind of go over with you, but it's something that's definitely worth looking at. So I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. Been told excellent puck spotting, but need to be faster in my skates. What can I do off ice to be better in agility, skate reaction time, right? I mean, a lot of it is just being dynamic athlete, right? So there's a lot of workouts out there, hand-eye, quick feet sort of stuff, right? And we have the ability, we have 5 or 6 full-time strength conditioning staff members on staff, and we have the ability to create customized workout plans for you as well. So I would say you can look that sort of stuff up and find it, but just becoming a quicker, better athlete is going to help you with your reaction time, and then doing a bunch of skating drills and getting out there and throwing that practice in there is going to help your footwork as well. There's no real magic to it. It's a lot of work. Anything that drills to do with depth and angles. The biggest thing really off ice, they said, was a question. Not a ton of off ice drills per se, but I think knowledge and knowing. I don't know if I think Tyler's on here, so I'm kind of abusing him here. But once you start seeing some of this stuff, is when things start clicking. So being able to show yourself like the different depth once you're in here, angles and depth, right? So if you're, depending on how far out you are, right? I think Tyler, we were talking about your glove positioning, right? So once you start seeing how much net you cover when you're out or how little you do when you're back, things started kind of, sorry about that. They started kind of getting the concept. It's usually not an ability thing. It's more of a comfortable or knowledge based things. So when we're out here and you're breaking down, well, top of the crease, you're filling this much net. And if I draw an outline of you, right, there's not a whole lot of net to shoot at. And then if you're back here, look at all the net there is to shoot at. You start showing goalies this, it clicks pretty quick, and they want to start getting out to the top of the crease because they want to perform better just like you do. So I don't know if there's any other questions. I think that might be it for questions. I'm going to ask a question because I've done all the talking. I want to hear, sometimes it's interesting to hear what you guys heard, or what did you guys get out of this session or this little webinar? I think it's been a half hour, so pretty quick, but what is one takeaway that someone's gotten out of this? Either throw it in the chat if you're not comfortable talking, or unmute yourself. Throwing it back to you guys.
This is Tom. I'll say the biggest thing was when you talked about going to the rink prepared, not wearing flip-flops or whatever. I know my son went pretty casual to tryouts, or not tryouts, but the first couple practices. And that really made me think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of puts you in a mindset, right? Like, hey, I got to kind of take this, be focused here, right? I mean, there's definitely times where it's whatever, casual day, do it. I mean, we have beach days, some days at our training facilities, it happens, right? But tryouts, probably not that time, right? Control the controllables. I love that. I mean, focusing on what you have actual control over. You might have influence over some things, but you don't have control over it. Focus on the things you can control, and usually things work out for you. Having a focus point that you can check in during tryouts, I love that.
Hi, this is Robbie. I think the work that's done off ice and preparation before you actually get there, staying off the screens, getting good sleep, eating healthy, trying to instill that in some of today's youth. I mean, even in between games, I would see running off to the pizza place or McDonald's or something. I'm not, you're just putting non-energy garbage food in you. So you're not going to perform after that.
Yeah. And I totally get it. Like sometimes that's all you got, right? But if you can try your best to try to, whether it's prepare to have stuff or the majority of the time you're eating as healthy as you can, I get it. There's life happens and all of a sudden you're in a drive-through because that's that or not eat, right? But the majority of the time, especially a tryout, things important. Let's try to do our best to try to be ahead of it if we can, right? And it goes a long way. So Corey, taping the note to yourself on your stick, look and stay focused. I'm not going to lie to you. That's won 4 national championships, 2 All-Americans. And I like keep going. It's real. It works. It's a little secret. Don't tell anybody. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, this is Greg. I'm looking at a wide-eyed squirt next to me, but as a goalie and a coach, we always tell the kids to brush it off when they let one by or whatever, and to have it reinforced that the big save you got to let go of just as quickly. I think was even an eye opener for me, and I could put myself back in the crease and go, you know what, it takes you right out of the game, celebrating that, or just like over celebrating the team's goal when you got to focus on something coming back at you.
Right. And here's the thing. You can, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's next to impossible, and it's going to take way too much mental energy. You only have so much energy, mental or physical, right? to try to keep everything out of your brain and stay focused. Like putting up that's very tough, right? Big save, goal against. Hey, that was a cheap shot of my goal, of my buddy, or that guy ran into me, whatever. Doesn't matter what distraction is. Hey, there's so-and-so is watching me today, or so-and-so isn't watching me today, or doesn't really matter, right? There's so many distractions. And I can tell you for a fact, like, even when I was playing, you look at the shots against and you start doing math in your head. What's my save percentage? Blah, blah. Those are distractions and they happen. Like those are real. There's no avoiding them. But if you try to push them out of your mind and you don't replace it with something else is going to come back in. So having that anchor of a tangible thing that leads your success, you need to put that in there. That's like, well, fill that void and keeps that other thing out of there. It's like, oh, I'm distracted. Push it out. Put this in there. And you're gonna just keep doing that, and then eventually you're gonna be more and more focused on the task at hand. But it is a valuable tool to use, and it's just another example of staying focused on what you can control, right? So definitely a huge, like I said, I'm not joking when I tell you it works. It legit works. You can use that for all you guys that are coaches and have other teams too. Like, that's not just goalie specific. If you wanted, and I'm just a goalie coach, do whatever you guys want. And your defense, if you have one thing that they need to focus on, whether it's quick first pass or good gap control or whatever you want, or F3 or F1, whatever you want with your forwards. If you just pick one thing and put it wherever the forwards are on the bench, put a piece of tape and a piece of tape with a DR, just whether it's gap control for the D, and just like, hey, good gaps. That gets them focused again too. So it is a trick that you can use in a lot of different aspects, but hopefully you get something out of it. Perfect. Anything else that anybody took away from today? Maybe a reminder or something you already knew, but well, if that's the case, Tom, I don't know if you want to stick around. Everyone else, we can adjourn if you will. I know everyone's busy, got busy lives. But I'd love to talk to you a little bit more if you want to, Tom.
I will definitely hang out.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to come join us here. Hopefully it was worth your time or worth your while. So
Thank you very much. Very, very much appreciated.